Hey everybody, so I wanted to get on here and briefly discuss last night's episode of Saints and Sinners. So this would be episode 2 of season 5. First and foremost, I just want to highlight the fact that I feel like the show is finally getting a sort of pace. I feel like throughout the seasons the show has been trying to find its own pace. It seems as though the show is like a nighttime drama, nighttime soap opera, and it seems as though this season we are really seeing it finally find its own pace in that world. I'm loving the pace of the show. It is on track in my opinion, if you can understand what I mean. As someone who grew up watching like all the soap operas on ABC, like General Hospital, One Life to Live, All My Children, Port Charles, etc. I notice with these dramas, these soap opera type dramas, they have a certain pace of the show, and it seems as though Saints and Sinners has finally found its own pace. Not that it needs to mimic any of those other shows, but it has its own pace, and I'm loving it. Everything is more fluid this season as far as going from one scene to another. So I just wanted to highlight that because I had to give them props on that. That is excellent, and it makes the show just a lot more fluid and smooth, and the transitions are awesome. Also, y'all, this has been one of the biggest revealers episodes ever. Like, I don't even know how to put it, but this episode has been like seriously the most revealing episode that I've ever seen Saints and Sinners have. And I really, really enjoyed episode 2. We learned, hey, I think like the biggest shock is that Ella's mother, Leona, is not really her mother, but her sister. Now, I've heard speculation about that. I'm not certain if you all have. I have heard that speculation. I think I may have seen a video on it or read it in an article, but I have heard that particular speculation, and it's come to find out it's actually true. And I'm just curious, like, where did that person who was speculating this months ago, how did they draw that conclusion? Because I never would have thought that Lady Leona would have ended up being Lady Ella's sister. But it's interesting because she really has been like a mother to Ella. And even though she is crazy and vindictive and a murderer, she definitely has been a mother figure to Ella. And speaking of Leona, I have never seen her as shook or afraid as I've seen her in this episode. I've never seen her as shook as she was in last night's episode over Victor Thompson, who is actually Ella's father, her real father. So I have never seen her that shook before over him. So it makes you wonder, what did Victor do in the past where perhaps Lady Ella was just too young to even understand? What did he do that that Leona knows, that he has done that has her so shook that she's fleeing town basically. And I was curious, like, is she even going to get out of town? And I guess it looks like towards the end when she had that last scene with Rex, it looks like Leona will indeed leave town, because I genuinely thought maybe Victor was going to hire somebody or do it himself, but in some way he was going to stop Leona from leaving town. But so far, it could change by next episode, but so far it looks like Leona is leaving town. She did try to convince Ella to do the same. Ella's, doing her own thing, and I can't blame her. She doesn't really trust anybody. But again, I don't really empathize or sympathize with Ella because of the fact that she's a murderer too. So nonetheless, we also have Rex, who Victor is letting him know, like, hey, I'm the boss in town now. You thought you was running things, but guess what? I'm the boss in town. And I think like this, that has got to be really agitating for Rex, because this is a devil he doesn't know. That was like a phrase that kept coming up in the show. This is seriously a devil he does not know. He is familiar with Ella, he is familiar with Leona, but now he's dealing with a devil he doesn't know. Not only that, but then this is a man who has resources clearly that Rex does not have. And so and then Rex, I think Rex seeing Leona as shook as she was, it probably has him wondering, like, what am I getting ready to deal with? Who is this person? Because if Leona is shook about him and Leona is vindictive herself, then something isn't right. But Rex still is his own man. He's not afraid, because like he said, he's something else too. So he's like, okay, but if I can just figure out what I'm dealing with, then I'll know how to go about it. So Rex isn't scared. He's a man himself, so he can. I feel like if anyone can take Victor down, if it comes to that, it will be Rex. But we shall see. We definitely know, or at least I feel like I feel like Leona rather brought up a good point to Ella, and that is Victor had this entire time that Ella was alive to be her father, and now suddenly he comes out of nowhere. So whatever he wants with Ella, it has nothing to do with being her father. It is definitely selfish, and we do see in the end he's like trying to persuade her to leave her seat as mayor to come work with him at Upsurge. Mind you, he picked his other two children over her in the first place, which was Malik, and I forgot the character that Tammy Roman played, which would have been his daughter. So she's off to rehab. Meanwhile, Malik was killed. So now he has no one to take over his business. So this is where he enters back into Ella's life, or enters into Ella's life altogether, to make it seem like he wants a relationship with her. But in reality, he wants her to run Upsurge. And Ella is no fool, in my opinion. I feel like it takes a lot to get over on her. However, I feel like how he has an angle with Ella is because he is her biological father, and there's probably a space in her that wants that connection to her actual father, especially learning now that Leona is not even her real mother. So how he can play on Ella, even though she is a very smart woman herself, I feel like he can play on that heartstring as, well, I'm your father. I know what's best for you. I'm the only person left for you to trust. Come work with me. So he's playing that angle, and we'll see how that goes. But you can definitely tell he has some pull in that town. Not to mention, it looks as though he tried to outbid Jabari on that TV station. And of course, we know that whole thing did not work out because Jabari ended up getting in the TV station due to Levi and that strumpet that wants someone else's husband or whatever the case may be. So we know that Jabari ended up getting the TV station, but in the end, we do see that one of the anchors, who was a really good news anchor, looks like she was killed. Now you could say it was an accident. Something just fell out the sky, like a light just fell out the studio ceiling and hit her upside the head. But we all know, not in the town Cypress. Nothing is an accident in the town of Cypress. Everybody gets killed there. It's not an accident. So we have that situation happening as well. We also have Christy, who is beginning her own little investigation into what the hell is Dr. Kevorkian doing, because she knows that that young lady that was running to her for help was alive and healthy at that point, and now the doctor is trying to act like she has some sort of infection. But Christy is not stupid, she's a doctor herself, so she's like questioning that, and then she's playing her role now because the doctor kind of snapped on her, not kind of, but he did snap on her, like, hey, I'm the doctor, you're not, you're barely in here, chill before I fire you. Basically, that was his tone. So she's like, okay, I want to be a doctor, so I'm going to work this angle and make him think. Okay, sometimes us women have to do that. We got to make them think they in control. So she's like making this doctor think he's in control, but in actuality, she has already planned out or mapped out how she's going to go about learning the truth. So that whole angle I mentioned in my other discussion for episode 1 for season 5 of Saints and Sinners, that I would probably fall back on the show if they continue to play out the trafficking of the women, and I guess harvesting the organs. That's what it looks like. Not that I am going to just stop watching the show, but maybe like during those scenes, I'll just fast forward or something, because for me personally, I got to protect my mental well being. And while the show really is, off the hook like many shows on TV, there's a lot of, murdering and things like that. Those are some things too that I really should fall back on watching as well. But for my own mental health, I know for certain that angle of trafficking as well as organ harvesting, like I'm not used to seeing that play out on TV, and that might be something I have to fall back on. But I do understand that the genre of the show is a soap opera nighttime drama, and I am very familiar that with those particular type of shows, whether it's daytime soap opera or nighttime soap opera, there's going to be toxicity, there's going to be drama, there's going to be possible killings and other things. But for me personally, I do have a threshold, and it probably should be even my standard should be even raised even more, which I'm moving towards that, where I have to get away from all this stuff altogether to maintain my own mental sanity. It has been a crazy, rough couple of years, and just a lot of revelations within myself that I realize I have to guard my own mental gates, because it can be depressing. Again, this isn't just entertainment, this is art actually imitating things that are happening in real life, which makes it all the more daunting. But nonetheless, I do enjoy Saints and Sinners, so I won't sit up here and say that I don't. I really do enjoy the show, but that's just my personal preference. I may have to either fast forward through some scenes or fall back from the show at times if that storyline continues to play out with the organ harvesting and kidnapping of the girls in Cyprus. But nonetheless, let me know what you all think in the comment section about the show, and I will talk to y'all soon. Peace.